There were several developments over the last week that prove that Elon Musk and Tesla are serious about AI and have now become one of the top leaders in this race. Elon's announcement that his company xAI has now brought a new 100,000 H100 training supercomputer cluster online is shocking many AI leaders, calling it Colossus. Elon claimed it is the most powerful AI training system in the world and will double in size in just a few more months. What's even more alarming is how fast it took, just 122 days. No one else out there can do this. So according to a report by a publication called The Information, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman apparently told Microsoft executives that he's concerned xAI could soon have more access to compute power than OpenAI. Second, Elon also showed a video of Tesla's own supercomputer called Cortex. It's giant and takes up the entire southern section of GigaTexas. Third, if this wasn't enough, last week, Tesla executives did a presentation showing off their Dojo supercomputer in Buffalo, New York. It's online and they're about to work on Dojo version 2. Finally, what's even more powerful than the compute is the massive data lead Tesla has. So we're going to explore all of this and more today. And one of the best people to explain everything that's happening is Larry Goldberg. Thank you very much for joining us, Larry.
Thanks, Herbert. Great to be here.
So let's start off with, it seems like it's in the background, right? Tesla's working on AI, supercompute. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody seems to care until you see the people that matter. They do seem to care, apparently. So this came out as this article from The Information, why Musk's AI rivals are alarmed by his new GPU cluster. The biggest artificial intelligence developers are abuzz over Elon Musk's claim on Monday that he completed a cluster of 100,000 Nvidia H100 chips in 4 months to be used to train the next models of his startup xAI. If true, the cluster would be the most powerful cluster of graphics processing units in the world, but its rapid buildup would fly in the face of conventional wisdom. So this is the quote here. Musk's progress in building up this cluster has some rival model developers worried. Apparently, Sam Altman himself, OpenAI CEO, has told Microsoft executive he's concerned xAI could soon have more access to computing power than OpenAI. What do you think about that, Larry?
Well, let me start by saying I never take any publication that attributes information to somebody without, a direct quote and that quote being verified. So whether Sam Altman said that or not, I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. But if he's not sitting up and taking notice, then he doesn't understand what's going on, as does Time magazine not understand what's going on. They published a story today about all the important people in AI and just happened to leave Elon off the list, which is kind of amusing. But, and this is very important, Tesla now have 3 major clusters of supercompute. One in Palo Alto, multiples really in Palo Alto, a huge one about to go into operation in Texas at GigaTexas, and Dojo, which will be switched on relatively soon in Buffalo, New York. That's a lot of capacity. Puts them into the top of the supercomputer leagues in many ways, and it gives them the ability to significantly ramp up their operations. Right now their operations are stifled, and we see that in the releases. We see releases coming out in bits and pieces, for this version of the hardware, for that version of the hardware, for this vehicle, for that vehicle. Those days are going to be behind them within another couple of months. As these clusters come up, you're going to see a huge increase in velocity of output, And of course, it's necessary. People who are criticizing FSD and are undermining or saying it's all underwhelming and it's going to go, and Google's got this Waymo and Chinese are doing all of that chatter will disappear once these clusters come up and running and Tesla gets into its stride.
Interesting. Okay, we've got to go through each of these announcements for each of the superclusters that they've revealed. And the first one, of course, was a big one this last week. Elon said, this weekend, the xAI team brought our Colossus 100,000 H100 trading supercluster online. It only took 122 days. Colossus is the most powerful AI training system in the world. Okay, that's his claim. Most powerful AI training system in the world. That is massive news if that's true. Then he says it will double in size. 200,000, which is 50,000 H200s in a few months. So it's already the most powerful, and he's going fast. The key thing, though, was it was done in 122 days. And I think you and I talked about this already, but we've had the show on this where that's impossible to be able to get this kind of big data center done in 122 days. And the only people that can do it is Elon because of his experience in building out data centers and building out buildings. And he said that, or another guy said, Brett Winton of ARC, is that typically it would take you a year because of all the contractors, the agreements you need to sign. And then Elon confirmed that said, yeah, when we were looking for vendors to help us, they said it might take 12 months. Yeah. Brett Winton said it will take 4 years to do this. And he said, when I did it was 12 months. To be able to do it in 122 days, that's the thing that I think people are scared. It's not only their access to the chips, but also, the money to be able to buy it, but then how quickly they can build it, right? So that's the key thing. What's your thoughts on how fast they're building this?
It's not so much the money. I mean, there's so much money right now going into AI that money is not the object. I mean, if you actually price out, 100,000 A100 chips, it's not H100 chips, not that much money, but actually to get it done, I mean, oh my God, I don't know if you know what it's like to build a cluster like this, but it is ungodly complicated. Firstly, you got to do the engineering right. And then when you've done the design right, then you've got to make that actually connect and work. And then you got to actually do the physical work. And then you got to bring the cluster up. And that could, that alone, the average company would take months, maybe a year to get that done. It's very complicated stuff, And yet, they pulled it off. And he's had a lot of experience in pulling this off because, Tesla built these clusters in Palo Alto, and they went through hell building those. So he knows a lot. They know a lot about doing this. Look, all the hyperscalers are now very experienced in building this out, but they build it in their time. Tesla doesn't have that kind of time to waste.
Yeah, that's way
xAI. I mean, Elon doesn't have that amount of time.
That's why
I keep mixing, Elon and xAI and Tesla, but it's Elon's time that matters.
That's why it makes sense that you hear Sam Altman saying to Microsoft, guys, look, we got to move faster. Look what these guys are doing. But the reason why xAI does matter for Tesla investors is that Grock is going to power the bot. It's going to power the cars. And you and I have done a show already. We covered this already, so I'm not going to go through in detail because there's another show. If you want to know, Larry did a fantastic job explaining every single thing here. But Sean McGuire said this in the last few weeks, Grock 2 catapulted to being roughly at parity with the state-of-the-art models. They're already at the top 3 LLMs out there. Now the xAI team has access to the world's most powerful training cluster for Grock 3. So they were able to already match the other. They were behind, but they're now equal to them or near the top. And now they have this new training cluster. How much faster is this going to go? It should be an interesting few months. Elon said, yep. And then we had shown this in a previous show where we showed that this is Grock 2 here, and the best is to the left. And you can see the ratings here, scores of the chatbot arena. We're already at the top. Here's another way to look at it. In all of these benchmarks, again, you walk through, you help explain to me each one of these, what they refer to. But Grock 2 is already so much better compared to Claude or Gemini in certain areas that they express.
Yeah, these, I would just caution against taking these too seriously because we don't yet understand what is important and what really these different tests really prove. And I will also say, as a matter of caution, is that, yeah, Grock 3 will be coming, but remember, OpenAI are not standing still. They are working very hard at their next release, and the rumor has it that it's going to be a massive release. So this is an arms race, and in this arms race, the arms you have are very important. We now know that XAI have got some massive armaments. We also know, by the way, that the hyperscalers are also building out very rapidly, as are some of the well-funded companies like OpenAI. So expect these numbers to keep moving up. I think what's much more important is the software. Stephen Wolfram wrote an article which I reposted, I think it was last week. Stephen Wolfram is the preeminent mathematician of our time. And what he wrote is that we still don't understand how these neural networks actually work. And he did a lot of analysis. And one of the most interesting parts of his analysis is that he shows that it's quite possible these networks are getting too big and we can do better with smaller networks. This is a very interesting discovery. And if it's true, it means that these very powerful computers are even more powerful than we're giving them credit for, because we can actually operate with much smaller models. So we're on the brink of some enormous discoveries, and expect leaps, I mean quantum leaps, by many of these companies on these massive computes. And my money's on Elon to make those leaps, because I know how he works. I know how he functions. So it's a pretty exciting time.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't matter if they're number one, number two, number three. What matters is They are in the game. They have one of the largest supercomputers in the world. They don't just have one. XAI has one. Tesla has three. So, and Tesla
will have three.
Will have three. And Tesla has their own Dojo supercomputer, which we're going to talk about as well. And they're building it faster than everyone else. Again, it's not about a race. It's about how fast you can do all the data. And that's the other thing. The last thing we'll talk about today is the data that Tesla has that is a complete advantage. Or again, it's how everything's combined together that matters. So let's talk Tesla. Of course, this is old news at this point, but Elon dropped this video of Cortex. That's what he's calling this AI training supercomputer in Tesla's headquarters in Austin. I'm sure everybody has seen this video that we're playing here over and over and over again. But just to see that it's alive, it's there, it's massive, and it's just a proof that it's physically available. And that's the inside. And it just goes on and on. It's a GigaTexas factory. And then they've got these giant cooling fans. This is massive. If you look at the people down here, that's the size of a human there. It's massive pictures. So this is Tesla's big brain for AI training. So Tesla has their own supercompute. Can you explain a little bit more of the other supercomputer that Tesla already has? And then we'll talk about Dojo as well.
So we know from earlier tweets and mentions by Elon that they've been using and are using currently for the current releases a set of clusters, more than one cluster, in Palo Alto. And that was the original clusters. I think they spoke about it about 2 years ago, and referenced it in their original in their original post about the clusters they were bringing up. And so where we are now is we're bringing the supercompute to Austin. It is very large. I don't know that we've been given a sense of the numbers of processors and which processors they are. But this is the reason why Tesla didn't take delivery and sloughed off the delivery to XAI, because they needed the computers to be the clusters to be installed in Texas, and Texas wasn't ready for them. Now there's another cluster they've got, and that's Dojo, and that's a whole subject in itself, because Tesla is developing its own supercomputer methods, processes, and how they communicate. And they've actually developed their own standard, or they're offered it as a standard in their for their Ethernet communication between clusters or between actual processors. So they're very deep involved, and it looks like they will end up being one of the having the most powerful group or cluster of supercomputers, at the scale of the hyperscalers. And those hyperscalers are, the Amazon AWSs of the world and the Googles of this world, where they're servicing multiple different clients at the same time. Here we have Tesla with these gigantic clusters servicing one thing and one thing only, and that's their own AI.
Okay. Now, let's move on. So we've got, you've explained the supercomputers that Tesla has, and they are buying. They're buying as much Nvidia as they can, right? So Elon has clearly said we are, agnostic. We'll buy as much as we can, and we'll build our own. But we need to build our own, he said, because at some point Nvidia keeps raising prices, as any successful company should, with so much more demand than supply. So this came out from Fortune last week as well. Nearly half of Nvidia's revenue is coming from just 4 mystery whales, each buying $3 billion plus each. So this is obviously Jensen Huang, and it's very likely that Tesla could be one of those 4 whales. It's makes up 50% of their revenue. And then the interesting comment about this is that each of them are buying $3 billion. So in the actual article, it actually says, it doesn't say like one company has bought like vast majority and the other 3 are small. They're all kind of equal. And again, that makes me feel better that I'm hoping Tesla's partly, they have to be one of them, right?
Well, the hyperscalers, include Microsoft, AWS, and Google. And then the fourth is more than possibly Oracle and or Tesla, or a combination thereof. So it's hard to tell. You have to imagine that the hyperscalers, each of the hyperscalers, are busy working as fast as they can on their own processing power. Google's had their own processing capability for years now, and you have to think that they're focused on that. So we'll see. All I can tell you is this: that I predicted earlier this year that Tesla will exceed its capital budget this year and next year and the year after, and I believe that they will. And partially, this is responsible for it, but
exactly.
Only partially. There are other reasons that they're going to exceed their capital budget.
Yeah. You specifically have been proponent of not doing buybacks because they should be buying chips. And that's what they seem to be doing.
Amongst other things. Yeah. I see other things that they need to be investing in.
So Dojo is alive and well. So this is, Elon has said, right? We need to work on Dojo. What was it last year? Everybody thought Dojo's dead because he made some comment that may not be there. But now it's looking like it's back up. There was a presentation by Tesla executives, and they presented off their Dojo supercomputer at this Hot Chips 2024 conference. And then they showed pictures, exclusive photos of their Mojo Dojo Compute Hall. That's what they're calling it in Buffalo, New York, MDCH. For Tesla's Dojo supercomputer, Tesla did not just, make an AI accelerator. They also invented their own transport protocol over internet. Like they're inventing all sorts of things. Yeah. Ethernet. They're trying to make this like they said that Nvidia supercomputers are important chips and powered compute is important, but that there's something that they needed to make something. Tesla needed to make it that's much more specific to video.
Well, you can't build a single chip that's large enough to do all the processing you need to do. You actually have to split it across multiples. That's why we call it a cluster. Tesla's done a couple of things with Dojo, and that is that you can't really build a chip large enough. You can't cool it fast enough, and you can't build a single chip that large with the current equipment we have now and the technology we have here. So what they do is, instead of making a wafer with multiple chips being created and then cut that wafer up into these different chips and then put the chips and have them talk to each other, they take the whole wafer and they use that with all those chips on already built in and the communication lines between them. Now they have to talk wafer to wafer or cluster to cluster. And that's where the real, the constriction on the data comes, because using Ethernet, you just can't talk fast enough. The traffic, it just won't support that level of traffic. So they have to, for various reasons, not just because it's not fast enough, but because the protocol tends to slow down the communication. So they have to find a way to improve that. And what they've done is they've engineered their own protocol, and they have open sourced their protocol and given it to the standards body and say, here, you can use this if you wish, much like they did with their charging network. So, they're innovating all the time at every level, in every component. So we're looking at the processor, we're looking at the protocol, at the networking protocol, but you have to understand that there are so many other components involved, and they're innovating at every one of these levels, and they're coming from way behind where Nvidia are. And I predict another year or two, they'll be way ahead of where Nvidia are.
Yeah. And even more important than this compute and the data centers and as much as you can get your hands on, it's the data itself that matters. And again, people are still kind of misunderstanding or lowballing how much importance Tesla has. So here's Brett Winton of ARK Invest. He said, look, size matters, right? Facebook has 10 times the proprietary language data on database as was used to train the Llama models. In images, they have 20 times more than that. But Instagram and YouTube have 2 times more than what they have in the uploaded videos. But Tesla's data capture ability dwarfs all of them by 20 times more again. And he shared this data post here where Tesla's annual driving data is 20 times more than all the YouTube video that's out there. And these guys, Instagram, and you add them all up. So what matters is your access to data. And this is not just driving data. Of course, once you get to bots, you're going to have more than that. And Elon said, yeah, nothing scales larger than reality. And this is real world, videos of real world, capturing that and making sense of it. So yeah, this is OpenAI is now being valued at possibly $100 billion. Microsoft's going to invest even more. And so this is just an example of Tesla's is right there. But at this point, it's not, it's I'm sure it's being valued, but maybe not as much as it should be. It could be soon.
Yeah, so all of this is, of course, of prime importance, and Tesla's position is very important. But I see in the coming years some very important breakthroughs that may destroy all our presuppositions about what is important in AI. And I expect a lot of those breakthroughs to come from Tesla. I don't know what they are yet. If I knew, I wouldn't be sitting in this seat. But I suspect we are going to see some really important breakthroughs. And what's interesting about it is that the pundits already say, we've reached peak AI, it's all done, and that's why, Nvidia is not worth as much as. I don't think we've begun, and I think it's in the area that, that's being explored right now by Tesla and by these other companies, and that is this very thing that I spoke about earlier, that, what is the important component of these neural networks that give us this intelligence? Just understand, the brain works on 100 watts, and you're talking about clusters that are millions of watts.
Yeah.
So there are breakthroughs to be had, and those breakthroughs are more important than all the clusters in the world.
Yeah, Phil Bissell wrote an article yesterday, and he said that Tesla's Gigafactory supercomputer in Texas, the Cortex, it's enough to power 60,000 homes. That's how much power it requires. So again, another thing that where do people get that power from if you have to do this? So, what we covered today is the supercomputer progress that Tesla and xAI have been able to do, Elon's capabilities, what it means for Tesla, the data advantage that Tesla has, and it's set up for a success. And yet, Time Magazine came out and they released their most influential people in AI. Somehow, Elon is not on the list. How is that possible? Despite recently bringing online the most powerful AI training system in the world with xAI, having the largest self-driving data fleet in the world at Tesla. And they even had Scarlett Johansson there as one of the most powerful AI people. Okay.
Well, that's because everybody wants to use their voice.
Right. That was it. That's ridiculous, though. I mean, so you
that's
got
the test of importance. Yeah.
Microsoft, you got this woman who invented Hugging Face, OpenAI, of course, Jensen Huang, Nvidia. You got Amazon, and then you've got cyberspace, Meta.
I take these as I take all of this kind of hype as just
Mayo-san. Oh my gosh.
Who cares?
And somehow Elon is not there.
Yeah. So, who cares? I mean, look, history is going to judge this, not Time Magazine. Yeah. I'm sure Time Magazine will one day come out with Elon on the front cover and say, the god of AI. So, I mean, I take all of this with a pinch of salt, with a big dose of salt. I mean, it's a joke.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that, Larry. So we've covered the strategy that Elon and Tesla has about supercomputers and their advantage and where they're headed. And like you say, results matter. The technology is what's going to speak for them. So this will all just come together. Imagine when the robotaxi comes out and the bots are out there and you're interacting with it in your daily lives. That's what really matters, if it's going to improve society or not. Thank you so much, Larry. Follow him on X at Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.